Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the decision session of the Executive Member for Culture, Leisure and Communities. It's 10 a.m. on Tuesday, the 2nd of March, and this is another one of our remote meetings. Starting on the agenda, item 1, declarations of interest. I don't believe I have any interest to declare other than what's on my register of interests already, so nothing to add for item 1. Item 2, having been through the very comprehensive minutes on pages 1 to 8, I am happy to approve and sign the minutes of the decision session held on the 2nd of February 2021. And as soon as we're back into West offices, I'm sure I'll join the other councillors in signing lots and lots of copies of paper with all the minutes that we've held in remote working. Item 3 is public participation. I'm delighted to say we do have a registered speaker. I was saying it was only at the last decision session, Gwen. I think it was my first public speaker, so I think that makes you the second for any decision session I've held. So you're very welcome, and obviously you know the drill. And given that we've only got one agenda item and you're our only public speaker, I'll be relaxed in terms of the time. But over to you.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can hear you perfectly.
Great. Okay, it's about these. I wanted to try and speak to you before because it's a bit detailed for the public part, but I'll just go ahead anyway. It's regarding service level agreements generally. I do think it's about time that we had a common format. I see two of them are moving towards a similar format, but I do think it's time that we actually had a common format for all of them, with the grantees getting the most money having to do kind of more detail. So that would be my first point. I accept the 3 years is good, and there are some interesting elements within them, but I have to say that the CVS one, not only is it the largest amount of money, but it's also the most confusing and the most generalised to the point of being almost irrelevant from the public's perspective. Let me describe it to you. When you look at I'm looking on the Annex 1 of the service level agreement. I know there are a number of Annex 1s in this report, but it's the service level agreement itself for the CVS. First of all, the dates are confusing. It says till 24. It says 48,000 plus an unspecified discretionary rate relief, which I suspect must be quite high. And then we carry on down to the funded areas. It says City of York wishes to fund the following priority areas. And to be honest, these are simply gobbledygook. An objective is to support the sector and an overarching aim. These are also general. And then even when they say they're going to deliver something, it says examples of what we will deliver. And then outputs and outcomes. I mean, these are two different things in the field. Output is one thing, outcome is another. Neither of them are specified in this tabulation. We then go to the top of the following page, which is the funding. The council has provided additional 40k of funding to CVS to establish the volunteer centre. I don't see how that fits in. Is that previous or current? Then it says this funding covers 20 to 22, and then another date, 22, 23. So that isn't clear at all what we're talking about either. Then when we go on to the monitoring conditions and arrangements, these seem to be pretty excessive. I mean, this goes from one extreme to the other, having such a general performance framework, and then quarterly this, quarterly that, quarter the other. So again, I think in some ways that's almost too specific. Then we have the funding conditions in paragraph 5. Sorry to go on. This is why I wanted to talk to you. In funding 5, it says that York CVS will, and there's 2 categories. But in paragraph 3, you'd already said that failure to submit satisfactory monitoring reports could result in failure. Well, that should be in 5 if it's a funding condition. Sorry to be so detailed, but these are, this is quite a significant amount of money, and it's simply not clear what it's all about. I don't believe for the CVS one that you should actually be signing it off at all. And I think also, if I may, that we should use this time, or you should use this time, for all service level agreements to have a standard format, just to make sure things aren't missed. For example, on 2 of them, it mentions that the recipients have to acknowledge the City of York Council receipt of funds in their advertising. 2 of them it doesn't. So these are the kind of things, if you had a standard format, you wouldn't, the staff wouldn't miss them, and also the applicants would be able to apply more clearly. All right, sorry, that was all supposed to be on the phone to you.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you ever so much, Gwen. And as ever, your comments will be taken into account when we come to that, and I'm sure we'll obviously verbalise them and respond to some of those comments. And I guess
I'll leave it with you. It's just input. Thank you. Bye bye.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much. Have a good day.
Bye. Bye.
So with that brings a close to agenda item 3, I believe it is. So we'll move on to item 4, our only substantive item today, which is service level agreements, cultural and infrastructure organisations. And the report is found on pages 9 to 32. And we're joined today by Maura Scaife, who is deputising for Charlie Croft, who is unable to join us this morning. I don't know, Maura, did you want to just give a brief introduction to the paper, and then I'm happy to I guess, respond to some of the public speakers' comments.
Thank you, Councillor Smalley. So, as you say, I'm bringing this report on behalf of Charlie Croft. The report is seeking approval for 4 service level agreements with cultural and infrastructure organisations across the city. As was mentioned in the comments earlier, it's about a 3-year funding arrangement which sits with best practice and has evolved over the years, and is much better for ourselves and for the organisations involved. The organisations involved under this service level agreements are York CVS for core funding and the Community Voices project, Accessible Arts and Media, and the National Centre for Early Music. As we've established, there are examples of the 4 service level agreements attached to this report for your perusal. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. And I think just touching on the public speaker comments, I think acknowledging that there's always, with anything to do with the council, room for improvement. And I think where you look at what we're approving today and what we're looking at today compared to, I guess, how previous funding decisions have been made. And actually, I think, as you said, we're trying to put in place service level agreements where there weren't them previously. And I guess just to explain the rationale behind these 3 institutions is largely historic and I guess well before my time, but nonetheless they are important strategic partners who will use this relatively small investment to leverage in a lot of additional funding, especially in the case of Accessible Arts and the NCEM. And obviously these institutions, all 3, do a great deal to help communities of identity, and particularly through COVID-19, those communities that are more vulnerable. And I think hopefully what we've retained as a model is that by spending with these minimal amounts of funding, actually the city benefits from an awful amount of investment from partners such as Arts Council England and others. And I think just obviously with it being the paper presented and various other and the reports compiled, I'm happy to obviously meet with the public speaker outside of this format to pick up the various the other concerns that were raised. However, with that, I don't have any questions, you'll be pleased to know, Laura, because obviously I've met with the institutions and Charlie to go through a lot of this detail already. So I am happy. I'm just going to try and find where the recommendations are. So the recommendations are on page 9, paragraph 2, which is to approve the funding award set out in paragraph 4 and the associated service level agreements set out in the various annexes. And I think with the introduction and with the papers there and the annexes, accepting that nothing in life is perfect and there's room for improvement, and I'll happily, outside of this forum, work to do that. Happy to approve the recommendations in paragraph 2, and with that, that's the close of agenda item 4. Agenda item 5 is any other business. Everyone will be pleased, including the webcasting team, to know that I've not got any items of urgent business, so just remains for me to thank Maura for stepping in at last minute. So thank you ever so much. I know this isn't what you planned your Tuesday morning doing. So thank you ever so much. And thank you to the Democratic Services and webcasting team behind the scenes who make public decision sessions like this happen in these COVID-19 times. So thank you ever so much and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.